Is the Giulia Veloce a proper Alfa Romeo? Yes, it is. Right, you join us on some lovely country roads in, as I said, the Alfa Romeo Giulia Veloce. So, Alfa Romeo, they have such a history in lovely sporting saloons. I mean, we've got My Giulia, 1963. Then we've got the Bellina after that. Then we've got the 75, which was not that nice to look at, but it drove fantastically, lovely engineering. And now we have this. After a long period, we have a proper rear drive Alfa saloon car. And first of all, it looks fantastic. They've nailed the styling, especially on this model, which has a nice little diffuser, big twin pipes, and a big deeper grille like the Quadrifoglio. It is stunning for a four-door saloon. And it's one of those cars you just forget what kind of rivals it has because they just pale in comparison to how special this thing is. So I mean, a 3 Series, a C-Class, this is a proper Italian svelte saloon. And I love it for that, first for a start. And then you get in it and you drive it. And you find that for the first time in a long time, an Alfa Romeo lives up to the looks in terms of the way it drives. I mean, firstly, we've got this steering rack, which is Ferrari quick. It is whip crack, the way you can just drive with your wrist, just chuck it at a corner. And you've got the front end to do that. It's faithful at the front end. And we've got this lovely pliancy in the ride. We've got this fantastic damping that feels incredibly sophisticated and really high quality in the way it rounds off bumps. It's so surprising because it feels firm, it feels connected and sporty, but it just has this pliancy that you just don't expect. And as with all great cars, you get the ride and the handling as one package, and they work harmoniously. And I was worried, after feeling that suppleness and that softness in the ride, I was worried that this fast steering rack would begin to upset it if you start throwing it a turn, because it's just got too much roll for the speed of the rack. But that's not true at all. You've just got to be measured with your inputs, and you can feel a bit of roll in the chassis, and you can feel it moving around. It feels like you're actually doing something instead of just being locked down like most of the German rivals. It feels so satisfying. We're on quite a bumpy A road here, and it's just, you feel the bumps in the road, you feel cambers, which is what you want in a sporting Alfa. But you feel isolated from the road surface, the coarseness, all the stuff that you don't want. That's got rid of with this damping, which is just lovely. I mean, this is Alfa's first stab at a sports saloon in so long, and they've nailed it. It feels like a Ferrari saloon. I know it's been chucked around that term in all the reviews of this car, but it genuinely does. I mean, you've got these lovely big aluminium paddles flicking up and down the 8-speed auto, which responds really nicely. It gives you a bit of a kick in the back as well in dynamic mode, which I like. Just adds to the theatre of this thing. And then you forget that this is a 3 Series rival. Why would you buy a 3 Series over this? It's engaging, the chassis feels high quality, it feels rear driven most of the time, even though this car has an open diff. And you can't turn off the ESP system, which is a bit of a shame. Because, yeah, we won't be getting any of our Larry hooligan sideways shots in this thing, but it does feel rear driven. Exiting corners, you do feel it squat at the rear, slightly rotate. It's got torque from this 2-litre turbocharged motor, just under 300 pounds-foot actually, which is a really hefty amount, especially when you consider this is about 50 kgs lighter than the equivalent 3 Series. So it's lighter than the BM, it's more powerful, it's more engaging, it flows with the road better, it rides better, the steering is faster. So yeah, this is one of those cars, when you first get in it, magic just breathes from all the controls. One thing it is a bit odd is the brake pedal feel. It's really not natural at all. I think it's brake-by-wire in this car. And when you're at standstill, it just feels like the pedal goes to the floor, which is weird. And it's a little bit odd to modulate because you sort of get into the pedal and there's nothing really coming back at you. And then all of a sudden you get on the brakes. It's quite alarming. Brakes are good themselves. But the one thing where I'm not really gelling with the car is the powertrain. The 8-speed ZF is brilliant, and control with these paddles, I mean, it's just theatre, isn't it? But the engine, it's not really a traditional Alfa unit, is it? It's not high revving, it's not scalpel sharp. This is a turbocharged 2-litre. And develops 280 horsepower. It's mightily effective. I mean, it will fire you down the road, and because of the lack of weight, it really does get a move on this thing. But it's not all that exciting. And it sounds a little bit diesely at low revs, I must say, which is quite odd. And yeah, revs out to 6, and there's not that much point in taking it there because you just got all that torque. And I found you just ride the mid-range in this car and use the paddles to keep it there. And with that, you can enjoy the damping. I mean, this is a bumpy road, and this car makes it enjoyable in the way that you just marvel at how it rounds off bumps, how it feels connected, but doesn't feel harsh at all. But yeah, it's not really a car that you want to drive with your pants on fire, but it's a car that, as an everyday road car, again, it is just perfectly judged, and I applaud Alfa Romeo. And I know I'm an Alfa fan, but I have to applaud great engineering when I see it, because this thing is just ace. It's the best sports saloon on the market, bar none. And that's all I can say about it. If you enjoyed this quick look at the Giulia Veloce, please like the video to help us out, because we are poor. We are poor Pakistani boys, and we need the funding from your generous subscriptions. So make sure you subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. What a car! What a nice car!